I'm going to take your souls. We have the power. We decide what's hot. If we don't go, nobody goes. If we don't support, nobody supports. We control what's cool. We control what's hot. We control what your kids listen to, what they dance to. We control what's in video games. We control how they wear their pants, sag their pants. We control everything.
Things are really not looking good for Diddy right now. And it's not just because of one headline or one viral moment. Over the past few weeks, a growing wave of videos has started resurfacing online, and they're hitting people differently this time. Clips that once passed as industry behavior or were laughed off are now being replayed with a much darker context. At the same time, something else quietly happened that didn't get nearly enough attention. Diddy sold his matte black private jet, the same jet he used to flex constantly on Instagram and TikTok, the one people now associate with those old party posts and bizarre baby oil clips. That jet is gone. No announcement, no explanation.
What do you think that Diddy's downfall means for the music industry and for men like him? Do you think this will help create some type of change?
We haven't seen a downfall yet. We're just saying...
The trial was very public, and the details were pretty disturbing.
They weren't disturbing enough to get a few stupid people in a jury to understand it. So, wasn't that effective. Wasn't that much of a downfall.
Just sold. And for someone like Diddy, that kind of move is never random. A lot of people are starting to believe this could be the beginning of a full collapse. Not a slow decline, but a controlled unraveling. And before anyone pretends otherwise, let's be honest about why this moment feels different. It's not just about leaked tapes, it's about timing, it's about pressure. And it's about the fact that all of this is happening while Diddy is already dealing with serious legal problems behind the scenes. Now, I know exactly why you clicked on this video. You didn't come here for one rumor or one clip. You came because you keep seeing new videos pop up, people reacting differently, and questions getting louder instead of quieter. And you're in the right place because we're going to break down every major viral tape that's been circulating. Karaoke footage that raised eyebrows, party clips that look disturbing in hindsight, leaked audio that refuses to disappear, and all of it paints a much bigger picture when you connect the dots. But before we even get into the tapes, it's important to understand what's happening with Diddy right now, because without that context, none of this makes sense. And no, I'm not going to rehash every detail of what he's been accused of or walk through sentencing timelines. You already know that part. What matters is where he is now, and why his recent moves are raising alarms. After the federal raids in March 2024, when agents searched his homes in Los Angeles and Miami, everything shifted. That alone was a massive escalation. These weren't rumors or media stunts. Federal agents don't raid properties unless they believe there's something serious to uncover. And once those raids happened, the floodgates opened, lawsuits followed, multiple accusers came forward, and what most people still don't realize is just how close Diddy came to losing everything. If he had been convicted on the more serious charges that were initially on the table, the Southern District of New York was prepared to seize all of his assets, not just freeze accounts, take everything, homes, cars, businesses, bank accounts. That's why his recent behavior suddenly makes sense. Selling assets right now isn't about downsizing or lifestyle changes. It's about cash flow. Legal defense at this level costs millions, and when someone starts liquidating high-profile assets, it usually means they're preparing for a long fight. Now, when you put that background next to the videos resurfacing online, the whole situation becomes a lot more unsettling, because these tapes aren't popping up in a vacuum. They're resurfacing while Diddy's power, money, and control are already being challenged. That's exactly why Aubrey O'Day's recent comments hit so hard.
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood, but one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of, and to contact the person who was in the video to see if they were interested in purchasing the video before it became a public knowledge.
I've heard this before, so like a catch and kill.
Catch and kill.
As someone who worked closely with Diddy, she didn't sugarcoat anything. When she said that what's happened so far isn't even 1% of the justice the victims deserve, she wasn't exaggerating. She was pointing out something uncomfortable, that the system still protects certain people, and that Diddy isn't the only one who benefited from that protection. She made it clear that there are others who allegedly did far worse and have managed to stay untouched. And that's what turns this from a single scandal into something much bigger, a system problem, one that's been operating quietly for decades. That idea connects directly to another viral video that's been circulating, the one asking whether people are finally ready to stop supporting artists who harm black women. It didn't just mention Diddy, it brought up a long list of powerful names and asked a question nobody wants to answer honestly. Are we going to keep pretending this is normal? Or are we finally going to acknowledge that accountability has been selective for a very long time? One line from that video stuck with a lot of people: consent can be revoked, that's not an opinion, that's a fact. And it forced viewers to confront how often harmful behavior gets excused after the fact. The video didn't tell anyone what to do, but it did challenge people to think about what support really means now that more information is out in the open. While all of this is unfolding publicly, there's also chaos happening behind the scenes. Reports have surfaced claiming that people who worked for Diddy haven't been paid since he went to prison. Official statements deny it, saying everyone is still receiving checks and that no one has quit, but sources close to the situation tell a different story. They say payments are delayed, approvals take weeks, and staff members have started walking away. Apparently, Diddy's finances are now being managed by a third-party firm with strict controls. That means even if he wants money released, it has to be approved, and those restrictions aren't just affecting employees. His own family has reportedly struggled to access funds as well. The shift from unlimited wealth to financial oversight happened fast, and it shows how quickly power can change hands.
I was in this bad issue. Be good, and that almost drove me crazy. I pulled up to her crib. I was in that 19 Mercedes. I got this damage from LA. She be
Then came one of the most disturbing developments yet. The New York Post reported that it obtained videos tied to Diddy's infamous parties and was able to trace them back to specific dates and events. These weren't random house parties, they were linked to major moments like VMA, after parties, and Super Bowl weekends in 2004 and 2005. According to the report, the early hours of these parties looked normal. Famous faces, industry elites, public figures everyone recognizes. But after those people left, the atmosphere reportedly changed completely. New guests arrived, the tone shifted, the behavior escalated. Young men and women were allegedly present in various stages of undress, and what followed was far from anything that should have been happening. And that's why these tapes are resurfacing now with so much force. Not because they're new, but because the protection around them is weakening. Combined with legal pressure, financial strain, and people finally speaking openly, the story feels like it's entering a phase where things can no longer be quietly brushed aside. And that's what makes this moment different from all the others. And then there's one detail in the footage that made people stop dead in their tracks. One woman clearly appears with the white powder visible beneath her nose. You already know what that usually points to. And what really locked this footage in as authentic wasn't speculation or rumor, it was confirmation. Diddy was wearing the exact same white t-shirt in the video that he was photographed in at the VMA after party that night.
Recording of Meek and Diddy
making love?
I don't know if it was love.
Okay, you have it? Let's hear it.
The shirt read, "God is the greatest" in bold black lettering. Side-by-side comparisons lined up perfectly. Same shirt, same night, same event. That detail alone shut down a lot of doubt. This wasn't some random clip pulled from nowhere. It was real, and it came from that exact moment in time. Then there's footage tied to Super Bowl weekend in February 2005, and this is where things get even darker. Diddy reportedly hosted an extravagant gala packed with his celebrities: Ashton Kutcher, Ashley Simpson, Joe Francis from Girls Gone Wild. All the familiar faces you'd expect at a high-profile industry event. On the surface, it looked like just another elite Hollywood gathering, but hours after that gala wrapped up, the real party allegedly began. The location shifted to a mansion Diddy was renting for $20,000 a week. Let that number sink in. $20,000 just for 1 week, just for that house. One of the videos from that night is especially disturbing. In it, you can see two men together while loud laughter fills the room. The energy feels off immediately. What really unsettled people, though, is the angle of the footage. It appears to be filmed directly from Diddy's point of view, as if he's holding the camera himself, not just observing, participating, filming while being involved in whatever was happening. That detail changed how people interpreted everything they were seeing.
Is the first videos of Diddy in prison at Fort Dix. I mean, how do they keep getting this stuff? And how much are they paying these other inmates to send them videos of Diddy? This is wild. Apparently, Diddy was working. Diddy helps give movies and religious materials to other inmates.
According to a federal law enforcement source, once investigators were made aware of what's shown in these videos, it lined up with information they already had in their possession. That's when the focus shifted to the most important question of all. Were the people in these videos there willingly, or were they being coerced, manipulated, or trafficked? That's the line investigators are now trying to determine. Consent versus control, choice versus force. And depending on that answer, everything changes. And as if that wasn't disturbing enough, things escalated even further when a lawyer representing one of Diddy's alleged victims revealed something that shocked even seasoned reporters. She confirmed that tapes connected to these events are actively being shopped around Hollywood. Not rumors, not speculation, actual videos. She explained that someone contacted her directly, claiming to possess a specific tape and asking her to reach out to the person featured in the video to see if they wanted to purchase it before it became public. When asked to clarify, she confirmed exactly what it sounded like. Catch and kill, pay for the tape, bury it, and make sure nobody ever sees it. She stated clearly that she watched the video herself. And here's the part that really rattled people. The other person in the footage wasn't just some background figure. According to her, the second individual is even more famous than Diddy. Bigger name, bigger profile, no ambiguity. She said you could clearly identify who it was, no question at all. And this isn't just one tape. Sources claim multiple recordings are circulating right now, quietly passed between powerful people behind closed doors. That's how catch and kill works. Someone approaches you and says, buy this or the world sees it. Straight blackmail. And the fact that this is allegedly happening to multiple celebrities at the same time says a lot about how deep this really goes.
Just being able to be here this evening. They tried me. Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. Hold
Imagine getting that phone call, someone telling you they have footage of you doing something you never wanted exposed. That kind of leverage is terrifying, but at the same time, it raises an uncomfortable truth. If there was nothing to hide, none of this would even be possible. Then there's the karaoke video involving Diddy and Meek Mill that resurfaced, and honestly, it's painful to watch. The vibe is awkward from the start. During the clip, Meek says something that immediately makes the room feel tense. You can actually see Diddy turn around with a shocked expression, like he wasn't expecting that comment to come out in public, even jokingly. That moment reminded a lot of people of the alleged audio leak that went viral last year, the one everyone tried to forget about. The same one connected to a lawsuit filed by producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones. In that legal filing, the complaint references a rapper from Philadelphia who previously dated Nicki Minaj. The name was technically redacted, but the description made it obvious to anyone reading it. People didn't need the name spelled out. The lawsuit alleged inappropriate behavior between that rapper and Diddy, and once that document became public, perception shifted. Suddenly, old clips felt different, lyrics felt different, even Meek Mill's music started hitting with a completely different tone for some listeners. Nobody knows exactly what's true, but when allegations appear in formal legal documents, it forces people to pay attention, whether they want to or not. Then TMZ released new footage of Diddy inside Fort Dix prison, and what stood out immediately wasn't anger or fear, it was his demeanor. He looked happy, smiling, calm, almost relaxed. People couldn't believe what they were seeing. Apparently, Diddy has been working while incarcerated, helping distribute movies and religious materials to other inmates. And that just added another layer of confusion. This man is facing massive lawsuits, public disgrace, and the collapse of his empire. Yet he's smiling on camera behind bars. Some believe it's an act, a performance for the cameras. Others think it might be something else entirely. Maybe he knows things haven't surfaced yet. Maybe he believes he still has leverage. Or maybe he thinks he's untouchable even now. No one really knows, but it's unsettling either way. And then there's that old award show clip that resurfaced, the one that feels prophetic now. In it, Diddy stands on stage and openly declares power. He says they decide what's hot, what's cool, what kids listen to, how they dress, what culture looks like. At the time, people laughed it off as arrogance, confidence, industry bravado. But watching it now, it hits completely different. It sounds less like a boast and more like a confession. Like he was telling everyone exactly how much control existed behind the scenes, and nobody took it seriously. And that's the part that really sticks with people now. How much power was actually being exercised and what was being done with it when nobody was watching. More footage has surfaced showing Diddy with various celebrity friends. And the energy in those clips feels off in a way that's hard to explain. Not loud, not chaotic, just unsettling.
Ladies and gentlemen, for all those in London that don't know what happens
to the white man when he comes to a P. Diddy party. This is what happens to the white man.
It's so unfortunate.
You gotta pull back though, so they can see. That's crazy. Matt, move out the way. You're still alive. Look at that. Look. Would you get
a drink on his head?
And that's James from Simeon Mobile Disco. He is an actual DJs aren't supposed to pass out, but when they come to one of my parties, this is what happens to them. I put him to sleep.
Next day, right?
Yeah, put the drink on his head.
There you go. There it is.
And as more of these moments resurface, people are starting to ask the same question again and again. How much of this was hidden in plain sight? The clip starts quietly, almost deceptively calm. Someone says a prayer. Heads are bowed, hands are held. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. On the surface, it looks respectful, even wholesome. But the moment the prayer ends and the camera keeps rolling, the atmosphere shifts in a way that's hard to ignore. Diddy steps forward, interacting with people in the room, and suddenly the energy feels off. Not loud, not chaotic, just uncomfortable. His body language is strange. The way people react around him feels tense, overly performative, almost forced. There's something in the air that doesn't sit right. What's interesting is that people watching the clip have pointed out details that aren't obvious at first glance. Subtle glances, awkward pauses, the way certain people hesitate before responding. I'm not going to spell out exactly what to look for because honestly, it's more unsettling when you notice it on your own. Watch it carefully, rewatch it. Pay attention to the small things because once you see it, you can't unsee it. There's something deeply unsettling about the dynamic in that room. Then comes another clip that's even harder to explain away. This one shows a white man completely passed out at one of Diddy's parties, not asleep on a couch, not resting, fully unconscious, limp, not responding, and instead of concern, the moment is treated like a joke. Diddy walks up to the camera and says, "For all those in London that don't know what happens to the white man when he comes to a P. Diddy party, this is what happens to the white man." He laughs, he gestures toward the man lying motionless. Someone places a drink directly on the guy's head, like it's some kind of prop. People are laughing in the background and no one seems alarmed. Diddy then explains that the man's name is James from Simeon Mobile Disco and that he's a DJ. He adds, "DJs aren't supposed to pass out, but when they come to one of my parties, this is what happens." And then comes the line that hits completely different now. "I put him to sleep." Think about that phrase for a second. I put him to sleep. In isolation, maybe it sounds like a joke, but with everything we now know about these parties, the allegations, the lawsuits, the stories of people being drugged, coerced, or losing consciousness, that line feels disturbing. What exactly does that mean? Was this man drugged? Was he given something without his knowledge? Why was he unconscious? And why was it funny enough to film and share? That video alone raises a mountain of red flags. Not just because of what's happening, but because of how casually it's being treated, the lack of concern, the normalization of someone being incapacitated. That tells you a lot about the mindset behind the camera. Then there's another clip that's been making the rounds. This one involving Ashton Kutcher.
I'm from Cali on the beach, man. Venice Beach. Venice Beach. Yeah. That's a Christian. Give a shout out. That's a Christian. Can we get a shout out?
So, like, we here to try to raise money for these, mosquito bed nets. So if you don't understand, just imagine living in Africa and your little infant child just gets bit by a mosquito and he dies. We're doing a charity this year, and I'm glad to attach with my boys' charity, and we're gonna do it every year with another charity. So thank y'all very much for coming. So let's party.
Let's go. Let's go.
It takes place at a charity event, raising money for mosquito bed nets in Africa. Ashton speaks about the cause, thanks sponsors like Starbucks, and encourages people to enjoy the night. On paper, it's a good cause. Everything seems positive, even admirable, but knowing what we know now about what often happened after these events, it forces people to watch that footage differently. The question isn't whether the charity was real, it was. The question is what happened after the cameras stopped rolling. Did everyone leave once the charity portion ended, or did the night transition into something else entirely, like so many other events connected to Diddy? There's no proof Ashton knew about anything inappropriate, and it's important not to accuse people without evidence, But it does raise an uncomfortable question about proximity. Who knew what and when? How many people showed up for the clean part of the night and left before things crossed a line? And how many stayed? And then things get even more serious when Adria Cherie English came forward with her story. What she described wasn't speculation, it wasn't rumor, it was her lived experience. She explained that in the early 2000s, she was hired to work as a go-go dancer at Diddy's private white parties. At first, everything felt like a dream. Diddy was kind, charismatic, welcoming. She felt seen, important. Every time she was invited back, it reinforced the belief that she was special, that her energy was valued, that this was her way into the entertainment industry. But after the second or third party, the expectations shifted. It was no longer just dancing. She was asked to do extras, to mingle, to be available, to accompany guests, to walk people to private rooms and private areas of the house. The environment changed completely. Then she revealed the part that stopped a lot of people cold. She said she believed she was drugged. According to her, certain champagne bottles were different. After drinking from them, she would be awake but blacked out, eyes open but mentally gone. She described it as feeling like a zombie, present but not in control. She said she was asked to perform sexual acts with guests, and because those guests were wealthy, famous, powerful, she convinced herself that this was somehow better than dealing with regular people. She thought this was the price of access, that if she went along with it, it would lead to opportunities, a record deal, a career, a future. She admitted she was naive, trusting, hopeful, and that hope was used against her. When asked how many people she was made to engage with, she estimated over 20 across the parties she attended, over 20, and then came another chilling detail. She said that during the raids on Diddy's homes, tapes were recovered, and she believed she may be on them.
People are open to hearing what has happened to me. People weren't ready to hear it 20 years ago. My name is Adria Cherie Marcy English, and I was hired in the early 2000s to be a go-go dancer at Diddy's private white parties. I looked up to Diddy. He was an icon. He was innovative. I had dreams and goals to be in the entertainment industry. And so when I got the opportunity to dance at the white parties, I really took it seriously. The first time I met him, he was very nice, charismatic. He had a presence about him. I felt important. The fact that I kept getting invited back, it led me to believe that, I had special talent, special skill. They liked my energy. So it was a very great experience initially. After about the second or third party is when I got asked to do extra things more than dancing at the private white parties. It was more mingling more and being available if they wanted to participate in extras, I should say.
When you said that they started asking you to participate in extras, what do you mean?
He would bring me to people. Diddy would sit me with certain people and for me to entertain them. There were private areas and private rooms of the house that, I had to walk people to. And then, I was I believe drugged. We were drinking from certain champagne bottles where it was like your eyes were open, but you were blacked out. And whatever it is that was in those drinks, it made you a zombie. I was asked to perform sexual acts with his guests. It was kind of degrading, but because of the status of the people involved, it was kind of like, well, this is better than a regular person, a regular guy. This is someone who's rich and famous. And so I thought that was gonna graduate me into being able to sign a record deal. It was like coercion of my heart. He knew how important it was to me. And so I believed it. I was very gullible, very naive, very trusting. And so I went along with a lot of it.
How many people do you think that you were asked to engage sexually with?
I would say probably over 20. Between all the parties. I did hear that when they did the raid on the house, that the tapes that he found, that I may be on them. So it could be more. My lawsuit was filed under the Gender Motivated Violence Act. It's for coercion, it's for sex trafficking, it's for forced labor. No one believed me back then, and so I decided to just deal with it internally and self-medicate with alcohol. I do want to apologize to my family for bringing that, shame. I did it because deep down I wanted to be famous, and I believed that it was going to be a way for me too. Everybody's not lying. But if people could just say, what if people are telling the truth? What if they're telling the truth? That's scary. And it's a problem that needs to stop.
Which means the number could be even higher. Her lawsuit wasn't about gossip. It was filed under the Gender Motivated Violence Act, citing coercion, sex trafficking, and forced labor. She explained that when she first tried to speak out years ago, no one believed her, so she buried it, self-medicated with alcohol, carried the shame alone because she didn't want to hurt her family. At the end of her interview, she said something that cut straight through the noise. Everybody's not lying. What if people are telling the truth? That question hangs heavy. Because if they are telling the truth, then this isn't just a scandal, it's a systemic failure that went on for years. Listening to her story is heartbreaking. She thought she was chasing her dream, and instead she walked into trauma. And the most disturbing part is realizing she's likely not alone. Then there's the private jet. In October 2025, Diddy quietly sold his matte black Gulfstream G550, the same jet he used to flaunt online. And honestly, it's surprising anyone bought it at all. When celebrities face major legal trouble, their assets often become radioactive. No one wants the association. That jet, built in 2015, could seat up to 14 passengers. Matte black exterior, beige interior, pet friendly. Comparable jets sell for anywhere between $15 and $30 million. Think about that. $30 million for a plane. While most people struggle to afford a basic ticket, he sold it through his company, Love Air LLC. The tail number has since been re-registered overseas. Why sell it now? Because he needs cash, lawyers are expensive, civil lawsuits are piling up. If he had been convicted on higher charges, the Southern District of New York was prepared to seize everything. Money, property, vehicles, homes, everything. And finally, there's one last development that changes everything. On January 1st, 2026, California's Justice for Survivors Act went into effect. This law opens a 2-year window allowing victims to file lawsuits even if the statute of limitations had already expired. Cases that were once considered too old are suddenly back on the table, and it doesn't stop with individual perpetrators. Companies that enabled, ignored, or covered up abuse can now be sued as well. Record labels, management firms, corporations, anyone who knew and stayed silent. This is huge. New York saw hundreds of lawsuits under similar laws. Now California has followed, and a lot of people in Hollywood are very nervous. So now I want to hear from you. Which part of this shook you the most? The footage from the parties, the man passed out while everyone laughed, the testimony from the go-go dancer, the tapes being shot behind the scenes, or the new law that could open the floodgates? And here's the bigger question. Do you think more celebrities are about to be exposed? Because based on everything we're seeing, it feels like Diddy wasn't operating alone. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I actually read them. And if you want to stay updated as this story continues to unfold, make sure you're locked in, because this is far from over.